Welcome everyone to the Pima Community College virtual site visit for the Advancing Innovation in Adult Education project. My name is Lori Kierstead-Joseph, and I am the Vice President of Adult Basic Education for College and Career at Pima Community College. We are honored and grateful to be recognized by the Advancing Innovation project for our IBEST programs, and we couldn't be more excited to host today's virtual site visit. To do a site visit virtually is an innovation in and of itself, so thank you all for being here and coming along for the ride. We designed this virtual site visit just as we would a face-to-face site visit. So after brief welcomes from leaders at the national, local, and state levels, we'll begin with an overview of the innovations in Pima's IBEST model. We're thrilled to welcome a couple of special guests today from the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, or OCTE, including Assistant Secretary Scott Stump, who will be sharing some remarks. Then we'll take a deep dive into how we partner and how we structure our IBEST programming to ensure student success. From there, we'll move into a live roundtable discussion with students and teachers, followed by a collaborators roundtable, where all of you will have the chance to hear from the operations team members who make IBEST work. Our special guests from OCTE will join us for both roundtables, so get your questions ready. Now, before our first speaker, I'd like to do a little bit of housekeeping. I encourage all of you to open the participant and chat panels by clicking on those icons at the bottom of your screen. Note that all microphones are muted. Only panelists will have the ability to unmute when needed. As you hear from our speakers today, if you think of questions you'd like to ask, we encourage you to put those in the chat so that our panelists can answer them later at the live roundtables. But be sure to select all panelists from the drop-down menu before submitting your question. If you have any technical questions, you can use the chat to contact the host. And today's session will indeed be recorded to be shared afterward. Okay, now to get started, I would like to welcome one of our special guests for today's visit, Cheryl Keenan. Cheryl is the director of the U.S. Department of Education's Division of Adult Education and Literacy at OCTE. In her role as the national director, she oversees the office which funds almost $600 million in state and local grant programs to enable adults to improve their literacy and basic skills, to complete their high school equivalency, to transition to post-secondary education and training, and to succeed as workers, parents, and citizens. She's responsible for overseeing the adult education national programs account, including resources to assist further development of the field of adult education and literacy. And she oversees projects such as this Advancing Innovation project. So please join me in welcoming Cheryl Keenan.
I agree with you, Laurie. This visit has the added benefit of showcasing another innovation, hosting a virtual visit that can potentially reach many more people than an on-site could. So while I look forward to the day that I can offer a congratulatory handshake in person to the dedicated team at Pima, I'm proud to be a part of my first ever virtual visit. Today, we're going to hear from a team of people who are committed to supporting adult learning in their community and learn how that support helped the college to achieve national recognition through the Advancing Innovation project sponsored by OCTE. I am most excited to join virtual roundtable discussions with students, faculty, and partners to hear real voices involved in both delivering and participating in innovative adult education approaches. I can't wait. The goal of the Supporting Innovation Project is to stimulate more innovation in adult education, particularly by showcasing innovation that increases learner outcomes. The IET program at Pima Community College has that outcome data. I think you will be pleased to see it later in the visit. This project takes a deep dive into selected practices to develop a better understanding about the conditions that foster innovation. Sharing stories about successful innovations will hopefully inspire others to be bold in their thinking about the future of adult education. If you'd like to learn more about the Supporting Innovation Project, please visit the resources listed at the end of the webinar. But in the meantime, just sit back and enjoy the visit from the comfort of your office. See you later. Laurie?
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for your comments and for being here today. Now we'll have a video welcome from our leadership at the local and state levels. Attendees, please note that the audio controls for today's videos will rely on your computer settings and speakers. You can control the audio through the settings on your device and within the video window. Panelists, please remember to mute your audio to avoid echo. So our welcome videos will begin with a welcome from our PCC Chancellor, Lee Lambert, and then our Governing Board Chair, Damian Klinko. And finally, our State Director of Adult Education, Cheryl Hart.
Hi all. On behalf of Pima Community College, I want to thank Assistant Secretary Scott Stump and team for conducting a virtual site visit of our Adult Basic Education IBEST programs. I'm pleased to share that Pima has been offering IBEST since 2014. Although we did not invent the innovative practice, it originated in my former state of Washington. Pima has taken it, mixed it with our own secret sauce, and refined it to best serve the needs of our Tucson, Pima County, and Southern Arizona community. The impacts have been extremely positive, from integrating career and technical education curriculum to basic skills acquisition that accelerates student learning. IBEST students have higher completion rates and enter family sustaining careers faster. This is crucial as more adults need reskilling amid a rapidly changing economy. Our goal is to expand the number of IBEST programs and increase the use ability to benefit. I just want to say thank you to our governing board for their tremendous support. I want to thank our Adult Basic Education for Career and College team for their tremendous work and really serving our students. And I also want to thank the entire Pima College family for embracing IBEST and embracing the Adult Basic Education team so that we can continue to improve the lives of our students. Thank you again for the visit, and please have a great time spending here with us at Pima. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone taking part in the site visit to Pima Community College. As chair of the Pima Community College's governing board, I want to take a moment to recognize that innovation is critical to meeting the governing board's commitment to social equity. The events of 2020 have placed an even greater premium on innovation within higher education. The board understands that community colleges, such as Pima, are uniquely positioned to meet the needs of the community by bringing together public and private stakeholders in innovative ways. IBEST exemplifies critical elements of the college's mission: open access, and meeting the diverse needs of our students and community. Through initiatives such as IBEST, Pima is achieving its goal of being a premier community college that serves all of its constituents. In closing, let me thank Chancellor Lee Lambert for leading the college to pursue a culture of innovation, and our great team at Adult Basic Education for college and career. Enjoy your virtual site visit.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl Hart, and I'm the State Director of Adult Education in Arizona. I'm very happy to be included in this event for Pima Community College's IBEST program, being featured as one of the 4 innovative practices from round 1 of the Advancing Innovation in Adult Education project. What IBEST participation can mean for students and their families cannot be overstated. When adult education students are provided the opportunity to attain the skills needed to earn not only their secondary diploma or English language skills, but also an industry-recognized credential in an occupation that is part of a career pathway, a trajectory for success has been launched. Arizona has prioritized the development and implementation of integrated education and training programs, such as IBEST, as a state leadership priority since 2009, when we funded pilot IBEST and allied health projects. And as a state, we have made and continue to make significant investments in intensive professional learning to support local implementation models. Pima Community College Adult Education, a recipient of early IBEST pilot funds several years ago, has actively worked on innovative and successful IBEST implementation strategies ever since. So I'm pleased they are getting the recognition that they deserve. Congratulations, and thank you for letting me join in the virtual site visit.
We are so lucky to have such supportive and committed leadership at the state and local levels here in Arizona. Next up, we're going to hear from Wendy Shader-Black, the director over all of our IBEST programming at Pima. Wendy will be highlighting why Pima's IBEST program was selected for recognition as the advancing innovation in adult education. Please remember, as you think of your questions, you can put those in the chat. Just make sure to use that drop-down menu and select all panelists to ensure we get to see those questions. Now I'd like to welcome Wendy.
Thank you so much, Lori. I am proud to be here sharing with you some of the innovations that we've developed in our PCC IBEST programs that have led to significant student success. To begin talking about IBEST, or Integrated Basic Education and Skills Training, we need to start with IETs. WIOA put forward the expectation of developing integrated education and training programs, models that bring together adult education and literacy, workforce preparation, and workforce training into one program. So IBEST is one type of an IET. And this collaborative instructional model first came out of Washington State in the early 2000s. But since then, many programs like ours have adapted this model into our own contexts. So in a nutshell, the IBEST model helps adult learners develop their basic skills concurrently and in the context of career training. So in all of our IBEST programs, students work toward multiple goals at the same time. A high school equivalency diploma, or HSE diploma for those who need it, a post-secondary certificate, industry-recognized credentials, and employment in the sector. By pursuing these simultaneously, it can accelerate the student's progress toward reaching their goal of starting onto a new career pathway. So to develop and implement these programs, we need all partners to be involved. Adult Basic Education, as provided by us here at PCC. Arizona at Work, Pima County One Stop, they're our employment partners. Career and Technical Education, or CTE, typically provided through our college, and our CTE and One Stop partners support us in engaging local industry. We also sometimes work with additional partners such as HPOG or JobPath. We do this and we do IBEST because it is the exemplification of how this system comes together to serve students under WIOA and because it leads to student success. So at Pima, all of our IBEST programs have a few key features, including adult education instructors and CTE instructors co-planning and co-teaching. We use a cohort model and typically last about a year long. And embedded wraparound supports for students are provided from all partners. From these core components, we have developed our own innovations to this already innovative model. So I will highlight some of those innovations that are recognized by the Advancing Innovation Project here. First, in every cohort, we have students with high school diplomas and students who are pursuing high school equivalency diplomas. We build into every program strategies and supports for all HSE, or high school equivalency seeking students, to help them reach their goal of attaining the HSE within the program year. Students take the GED Ready practice test early on. One Stop provides test vouchers, and teachers track student progress. We know that getting the HSE diploma is at the top of the priority list for our students, and so we build in the supports that they need to get there. We also work with our college and our One Stop partners to ensure the wraparound supports that students need, including leveraging WIOA Title I dollars, local college funds, and federal financial aid for HSE seekers using the ability to benefit provision. Often, our students will use Title I funding to cover tuition costs for the first 6 credits, and then they shift over to ATB for the remainder of the certificate program. So with both ATB and Title I funding possibilities, access to college and to career and technical education training programs increases dramatically for our students. So we want to see all students benefit from the services that are provided by our One Stop partners. So we build co-enrollment into our intake process. By consolidating our intake efforts, we minimize the number of steps that students would otherwise have to take to enroll in both programs. Students have reported that they really value this integration, and it keeps our partnership strong. Another innovation we've developed is the teaming approach to IBEST program implementation in the areas of leadership, instruction, and operations. So these teams are involved with all aspects of IBEST, with the inception of the programs, the design, the development, the implementation, of every program that we run. Each of these teams meets regularly, and they ensure that the collaboration that's needed for this model can sustain. Together, these teams provide an essential framework for ongoing communication and collaboration in every IBEST program. Finally, students will tell you that one of the most important contributors to their success was the ongoing support provided in this model. Our IBEST program advisor and student services specialists lead the intake process. They help students navigate systems, connect students to employment opportunities, and provide ongoing support as students have life challenges or crises. They provide a supportive and a holistic approach to student development. So overall, we see the results of the hard work in bringing together these large, complex systems of adult education, CTE, and WIOA Title I partners. We see it in increased access and in student success. It motivates us to continue to innovate so that we can strengthen, scale, and adapt this model to continue to meet the needs of our students as they prepare to enter a rapidly changing workforce landscape. So now let's hear from one of our IBEST graduates, Victoria Holland, about how this model has worked for her. During her Automated Industrial Technology IBEST program, she passed the GED and earned her high school equivalency diploma. She completed the Level 1 AIT certificate. She earned multiple industry-recognized credentials and received several job offers. So let's watch.
My name is Victoria, and I go to the Pima Community College downtown campus. Right now, I am studying the Automated Industrial Technology Level 1 certificate, so troubleshooting robots. The program that I am in is called the IBEST program. It's Integrated Adult Education. So it's for people who are trying to get their GEDs and also wanting to do college classes and wanting the technical trade. I didn't really think I'd make it this far in life, and now I'm graduating with my first certificate and with a decent GPA, and I've got job offers, and it's a little bit like, oh God, what's going on?
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy, and big thanks to Victoria for sharing her story with us in that video today. I have to also thank our local Arizona Public Media and PCC TV teams for the amazing video. Now I'd like to welcome our special guest, Scott Stump. Mr. Stump is the Assistant Secretary at the Office of Career Technical and Adult Education at the U.S. Department of Education. Prior to assuming this role, Scott Stump served as the Chief Operating Officer at Vivac, Inc., a learning solutions provider devoted to helping individuals, organizations, and corporations do good in the world. And before that, Scott served in the Colorado Community College system in roles that included Assistant Provost and State Director of Career and Technical Education, State FFA Advisor, Agriculture Program Director, and Interim President of Northeastern Junior College. I am pleased to welcome today Assistant Secretary Scott Stump.
Thank you, Lori, and to all of the team at Pima Community College for that introduction and invitation to be with you today. And it's my pleasure to be with everyone here today on this virtual site visit to Pima Community College in Tucson, Arizona. I must say that today's virtual site visit is one that leads me to somewhat mixed emotions. On the one hand, it's disappointing not to be able to be with you in person, yet on the other hand, through your ingenuity and the wonders of technology, it is a blessing to be able to share this visit and the wonderful work that Pima is doing with adult education stakeholders across the nation. Perhaps now, even more than before, it's important that the innovative work happening at Pima Community College be shared as widely as possible. Your work in created integrated education and training, or IET models that work for students in the local Tucson community and enabling those learners who need a high school equivalency credential to attain one is invaluable in today's economy. Today we know that nationwide there are an estimated 51 million adults from all walks of life that struggle with basic academic skills. Learners who struggle to read, do math, and solve problems and use technology are ill-equipped to enter much less compete in the global economy. As such, President Trump and Secretary DeVos are calling on us to ensure learners of all ages have more pathways to lifelong learning and career success. And the economic payoff for adults who gain higher skills is greater in the U.S. than in almost any other industrialized country. In the United States, one level of math gain equates to a 28% hourly wage gain. Our nation, our economy, and our society simply can't operate at full capacity without adult education programs and partnerships with local, regional, and state workforce partners. Adult education is a critical part of our nation's economic recovery. Adult learners need quality programs that help them quickly and effectively advance career and education goals. Innovative program design and delivery and supportive services are more important than ever. Here at Pima, we see the value of IET's ability not just give the learner the academic success they need to get that entry-level job, but more importantly, the technical skills and the grounding to be able to advance along their career and education pathways. The United States Department of Education recognizes the promise of IET program designs for adult learners and has made the expansion of IET programs part of an agency priority goal, supporting multiple career pathways for learners of all ages. In recent years, we have observed how adult education providers' implementation of IET is expanding as adult learners seek services that can efficiently move them into high-demand jobs in the career pathway. In program year 2016, states reported just over 23,000 adults enrolled in IET programs. In program year 2018, that enrollment had more than nearly doubled to 52,000 adults enrolled in IET programs across the country. So as part of our agency priority goal, we've set an ambitious goal of 70,000 adults enrolled in IET programs for program year 2021. To support states and local programs in meeting this goal, OCTAE has undertaken a number of investments. This past January, we convened an IET symposium to obtain information about the progress with and challenges in implementing IET models in adult education programs. At that symposium, 45 representatives from adult education state offices, adult education local providers, national adult education technical assistance organizations, research organizations, advocacy groups, and federal program offices discussed key elements of well-implemented IET models, factors that should be considered in preparing adult learners to succeed in IET services, and the types of partnerships that are critical to designing and carrying out IET services. To disseminate that rich conversation from the symposium, OCTAE collaborated with Apt Associates and COABE to have an article summarizing the symposium as a part of the COABE Journal's Spring 2020 Workforce Edition. We've subsequently added this article to our links collection of resources for adult educators. More recently, I'm excited to share that last month we kicked off the pilot for OCTAE's IET design camps. These camps assist state and local teams in using a curated design toolkit to improve and expand current IET offerings. The pilot is engaging teams from 5 states, including Arizona, and will wrap up in December. Teams from other states will then be able to participate in early 2021. Additionally, we recently awarded a new $1.7 million technical assistance contract to a team led by RTI to demonstrate, document, and disseminate how IET programming can work in corrections and reentry education settings. And on September 24th, as part of Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, Secretary DeVos and the department launched the Rethink Adult Ed Challenge to strengthen the role of adult education in preparing learners for apprenticeships and beyond. This challenge has a total prize pool of $750,000 and seeks to establish at least 100 new pre-apprenticeship programs that include partnerships between adult educators and apprenticeship sponsoring organizations, again strengthening the IET pipeline. I think I'll stop there now in terms of what the department and OCTAE are doing to advance the creation of quality IET programs across the country and turn our focus back to today's virtual visit to Pima Community College. In OCTAE, we most recently learned about the innovative work here at Pima through the college's participation in our Advancing Innovation Project. This project seeks to identify and document innovative practices in adult education. After a thorough vetting process, the adult education program at Pima Community College was selected for recognition of its innovative practices, combining IET and attainment of a high school equivalency credential. As you have heard, Pima's IBEST programs offer short courses to adult learners that build basic skills in the context of a career pathway. Their courses use a co-teaching model that pairs an adult education instructor and a career and technical education, or CTE, faculty member to provide learners with the critical skills, knowledge, and support systems needed to help them persist and succeed in the CTE program, earn industry-recognized certificates, and earn a high school equivalency credential. I'm particularly interested in learning more about this partnership between adult education and CTE, and I'm excited to hear from teachers and students who are part of Pima's IBEST programs. I'm also excited to learn more today about how Pima Adult Education Program relies on industry and WIOA Title I partners to inform programming and ensure adult learners have access to employers and employment opportunities. I think it'll be informative for all of us to learn more about the program's partnerships and collaboration to provide critical wraparound supports. Finally, I'm looking forward to hearing how students who have not yet earned their high school diploma or GED can access federal financial aid using the Ability to Benefit provision. With so much to look forward to during today's virtual site visit, I once again welcome you all here and thank the staff and students at Pima Community College for opening up their adult education program to Octay and to all of the interested adult education practitioners from across the U.S. on today's webinar.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for your remarks, and thank you for being here with us today. So now let's go ahead and get started with the deeper dive into our IBEST model. Student success is the #1 reason that we do IBEST. We do it because it helps students to make progress toward their educational and career goals. So we will start this deep dive by hearing from students, the students themselves in IBEST. This next video is the virtual site visit equivalent of chatting with students as we walk into the classroom and ask things like, tell me about why or how this program has helped you. Let's watch.
The additional teachers has been invaluable because we have, so if there's like math stuff I don't remember how to do specifically, we have math teachers here, we have English teachers that will help you with like structuring certain things and the math. For things I don't remember how to do, they'll go over it a lot and in depth and really give you a good foundation for the stuff that we will be doing.
The additional teachers have been great whenever I need like extra time. If we go over something in class and I don't get it the first time, then I can go over it with like Mary Jo or Lisa, and they help me a lot. Math isn't really my strong suit, but we've taken it like step by step, so they've been able to help me. And as long as I stay caught up and I don't fall behind, then it's good.
I feel like there's more of a support group with the IBEST. I feel like the teachers are more involved in your learning process. There's more resources, help available if you are having trouble in your classes. I know my previous career field has had very, very little math in it, and this is a lot of math. And so I'm glad that I feel like I have a team that is tutors and teachers that are willing to help me, whereas if I had just signed up for classes, I don't think I would have had that same support group.
Stephanie has been an invaluable resource. I have gone to Stephanie with a lot of different things over the year. I've had a lot of shortcomings this year, like getting kicked out of my house, and Stephanie has been very resourceful in the things that she has given me for help for stuff like that. But also just with the registering for school and keeping financial aid in order and stuff like that, it's very, very useful. It's normally you would have to think about that kind of stuff on your own, and having her there to help you with every step of that is great.
The communication between One Stop and IBEST has been exceptional. I haven't had to jump through very many hoops. I've had both of them communicating together, and so that to me just went seamlessly.
So tell me about the supports that you feel that you're receiving in the IBEST program.
More than I can ask for, honestly, because it's just the instructors are so helpful. Like you yourself, Lisa, are just so welcoming. Like this is what I really enjoy, is that you guys are so welcoming when needing help. I don't feel left alone. That I need to keep up. Well, I keep up. It's our job to keep up. But it's just like when you can ask somebody and feel so welcome to ask somebody, it's like it's better for you to learn.
They helped us build a resume. They taught us soft skills, interviewing skills. It just really opened my eyes to like all the possibilities of like career-worthy jobs out there, and it made me have higher confidence of like now I would apply for higher-end companies, whereas before I lacked my ability to do so. So it just made me realize like, yeah, I can apply at TEP or like CADE or a good place, yeah.
Well, it drew me because I wanted to start college. Because I like the idea of being able to still continue to get my GED and still continue to get that support for my GED, but also accomplish the college goal at the same time. So I wasn't wasting time. I felt like I was in these GED classes, but I was getting my GED, but I wasn't really accomplishing a second part of my educational goal at the same time. So having the IBEST program encouraged me or helped me basically kill two birds with one stone. And that's what I liked about it.
Wow. I am always inspired when I can hear directly from our learners. Big thanks to Ben and Jason and Ariane and Summer and Michael for sharing your thoughts with us today. Now that you have heard from our students a little bit about the why of IBEST, let's look more closely at the how. I'd like to welcome back Wendy to continue the deep dive into our IBEST model.
Thanks, Lori. So now you've heard from our students and some others a little bit about how the IBEST model supports our students and why our students value it. So let's take a few minutes and take a closer look at what our programs actually look like on the ground. First, the structure of our programs. So we typically design an IBEST program to be a year long, to provide enough time for the HSE seekers to pass the GED, and also to allow the space for the additional integrated basic skills. We partner with level 1 certificate programs at our college, and many of those fit really easily into this length of time. So what you're looking at is an example of an IBEST model that starts in January. It's a 3-semester model with a 2-week on-ramp at the front. This on-ramp helps students be prepared for the start of their college coursework. On-ramps are taught by adult ed instructors and are contextualized to the training they are about to begin. The focus is typically on study skills, on the academic reading, on digital skills, and on navigating online learning platforms, because those are the things that students are going to really need when they walk into the first day of their credit classes. Students seeking their high school equivalency diplomas all also take the GED Ready test at the beginning. It's important to be sure that we don't let that priority fall by the wayside as students dive into their college coursework. So after the on-ramp, students are much better prepared for a strong start. And in the first semester, students may take 2 to 3 technical classes, each of them with additional contextualized basic skills instruction. We call that time integrated skills, and it's built into the student's schedule. So all students participate. Students seeking their high school equivalency begin to test if they're ready, and students begin their employment portfolios. In the second and third semesters, students continue to take 2 to 3 classes, but the focus of the integrated skills time will continue to shift and to align to the content of the classes. So the focus might shift to contextualized math or to academic writing. As the program moves into the third semester, much of the integrated skills time might be spent on employment readiness. So students will complete their employment portfolios in that third semester, and they prepare for a job fair that we coordinate at the end of the program. So along the way, students take the GED tests as soon as they are ready. We want to make sure that they don't wait until the very end to take all the tests. When they complete, students may move into employment if they haven't already. or they might continue studying for the next level certificate. So that's what a typical program design might look like for any given IBEST program, but here's what a typical week might look like for a student. So here's an example of an evening program with a sample schedule from a medical assistant IBEST program. So you'll see that both classes meet twice a week. The Monday-Wednesday class is an intro to anatomy and physiology. And we can look at that class as an example to get an understanding of what our students might experience. So all students would arrive at 5:30 for the integrated skills time. And again, that's with the adult education instructor only. And during this time, the instructor might work on skills needed to complete assignments for the credit class. So for example, maybe how to write an academic paper, or students might study proportions and ratios to deepen their understanding of the math that's required in a pharmacology class. They may study memorization techniques and word analysis for medical terminology. Or maybe they work on employment readiness skills, including resume writing or interviewing skills during this time. So then at 7 o'clock or at 7:15, the CTE instructor begins teaching the technical content. And in this time, the adult education instructor stays and co-teaches until 8:30. So it's important to note here that every program is going to look a little bit different in their design, but a few things are essential to maintain the supports for student persistence. So one is that times stay the same across the year. This helps our adult learners build a sustainable schedule to support family and work schedules as well. Second, all of our times are integrated. So we try to schedule even all of our coursework in the same classroom if we can. So it feels like a really seamless experience for students, not two separate classes on any given night. And finally, all students participate in all parts of the program. Students don't opt out of the integrated skills time. It benefits everybody. So in the next video, you will hear from one teacher about how she teaches integrated skills, and then take a look inside of an automated industrial technology IBEST program.
An example of co-planning and co-teaching might be if the adult ed instructor and the faculty members sit down and look at the course content outcomes as well as the adult ed standards. In the electrical systems class, which during the AIT, Automated Industrial Technology IBEST, they needed to study electricity. So one of the outcomes was that they know and understand Ohm's law, which is current is equal to voltage over resistance. And on the adult ed side, they need to know, one of their standards is that they need to be able to solve algebraic equations. So the faculty members always teach the content. The adult ed instructor, we contextualize. And in this example, we contextualize using Ohm's law into algebraic equations. Maybe asking questions such as, what if I already knew the current, but I didn't know the voltage or resistance? In what situation might that apply, and what would that look like? Both the faculty and adult ed instructors work on formative assessments as well, so we're all on the same page of the student's understanding. An example of something that I've done in the integrated skills time. In the automated industrial technology IBEST, I noticed that during the content class that the students had difficulty with the measuring tools. They were using a steel ruler and they needed to measure to 1/32 and even 1/64 of an inch. And I could see that the students needed more practice. So during the integrated skills time, that is just including the adult ed instructor and the students, we then brought in the steel rulers and I gave them a lot of practice time and went over actually how to use the tools and work together as a group measuring various different objects and talking about the necessity for precision and why it's so important.
7/8 of an inch.
Measuring some of this. So we're all measuring 1, 2, 3 to see if we all get the same answers before we do that.
How you use your whatever ruler or whatever.
Yeah, what did you find to be most accurate?
I'd say the metal ruler.
Okay.
And then is imagine what kind of problem, which side, which materials and design and everything needed to have as a to buy as a final product. Simulating a situation as, hey, we have a situation. So, hey, I saw you didn't put details about that product. Do you want it in your request or not? Okay. Difference between your original sketch and the real furniture you need to manufacture. But I didn't see this in your...
But if you're going to put technical information on paper, what might that look like? Give me one idea.
Do you have an idea? Maybe like the first piece you need to start building a table would be
What you need to build a table? Rocio?
Precise measurements.
Precise measurements.
organized list of materials.
An organized list of materials.
Like
You
steps to like process it and like proceed to build it.
Steps to process it. Anything else, Milton?
Okay, this is the next step. Okay, our phase now.
All right. Thank you to Mary Jo and Milton for that insight into the Automated Industrial Technology IBEST classroom. You may have noticed the lack of masks and social distancing. That video was recorded prior to the pandemic. So thank you for that video. We are going to transition now to our live student-teacher roundtable discussion, where you will hear more from our teachers and our students, including how classes have adjusted to the current virtual context. Please join me in welcoming our panelists and guests for this roundtable. Our panelists today will all look familiar to you from these earlier videos. They are Mary Jo Chmielewski, the AIT or Automated Industrial Technology IBEST teacher that you saw in that video. Echo Casey from Logistics and Supply Chain Management IBEST. She's another one of our teachers. Ben Gooden, an AIT IBEST graduate who also earned his GED or his high school equivalency, and Ariane Daval, a current AIT student. I'm also thrilled to welcome our special guests from Octay, Assistant Secretary Scott Stump, and Director Cheryl Keenan. We will begin with a couple of questions from our special guests, but we still hope to have time to answer some questions from the chat as well. So as we get ready to start, I'm going to ask the host to move us all to live speaker view. If you're an attendee, as you see us move away from the slides and to the speaker view, I would love for you to be able to see all of the panelists at once. So for optimal viewing, we recommend the grid view. To find that, you'll move your mouse up to the upper right-hand corner of the whiteboard in front of you. Next to the video strip, there's a small white circle with black boxes. That's where you'll select the grid view from one of the three options. With that, I would like to hand things over to Assistant Secretary Scott Stump to get us started.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. And, this has been such a great visit so far. And in case you hadn't been able to look at the participants list, nearly 150 individuals from across the country. When I scrolled down through the list, we have some from Florida, Indiana, Connecticut, Ohio, all across the Midwest, so many states represented. I'm so excited to see that. I want to thank Ariana and Ben, two students, for joining us, and to Echo and Mary Jo, thank you for letting us have a sneak peek into all of the wonderful things that are going on at Pima and the way that you're innovating to really make a positive difference in the lives of your learners. And so I do want to start, Ariana, I know you had a test yesterday. So first off, congratulations on a great job of, tell me again what you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what the last of what you said cut out.
You bet. Well, tell the audience what the test involved.
Oh, so yesterday I had my mechanical systems midterm, and it involved mounting a motor and leveling it.
And your score?
100.
Nice. There you go. That is excellent work. So, Ariana, with that success, not just that in mind, but all of the other experiences, what attracted you to the IBEST program?
I initially found the IBEST program through the Pima County One Stop. I was looking to change career fields into something more technological, and so as soon as I signed up, I was called by Stephanie, and it was just this huge amount of support that I received is the reason that I stayed. But there's a lot of additional services built into the program as well, so it just drew me in.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Ariane. And Ben, what about you? What drew you to the program?
So what originally got me into the program is I was just in pursuance of my GED in the first place anyways, because I was just trying to get out of the restaurant industry, working way too hard for getting absolutely nowhere. And I joined some GED classes, and I was in Mary Jo's math bridge classes, and she mentioned to me about the upcoming IBEST program. And it seemed interesting because I've always been a technical kind of person, like working with my hands, using my brain, rather than sitting there doing mundane tasks day to day.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ben. And just to expand on that a little bit, as far as, in the video you talked about some of the supports, like even being to the point of, losing the place that you were renting. What's been the most helpful aspect of the program?
I would say is the senior staff that's involved. Mary Jo, Lisa, Stephanie, Wendy, all of those people have just been so encouraging and just constant relief from a lot of things, because I can go to these people and pretty much talk about anything. And like I said, at one point last semester, I got kicked out of my house literally the day before we had a final test. And I moved to the complete opposite side of town. And I still managed to get to class, still took the test the next day and got 100% on it. My teachers even asked me, "Are you okay to take the test right now?" And I was like, "I should be fine."
Wonderful. And it's a great testament to the program. Ariane, how would you jump in on that as far as the most helpful aspect of the program?
Definitely the additional support, especially whenever COVID hit and schools closed down. Having those additional support staff from IBEST instructors was invaluable, especially with helping us get content from the professors so we could study and prepare for tests, and also helping us to learn to navigate the new online platform. Definitely the additional staff and support.
Wonderful. And, I know from the conversation yesterday that your goals have changed a little bit since entry into the program. Tell me more about that.
So when I first came to Pima Community, like I said, I was just trying to change career fields, just get something with a livable wage, and once I came on board and just, I found something I didn't even know I was missing. And so I have just elevated my goals to where I changed my program of study. And so now I'm officially going for my associates in automated industrial technology. I'm really looking forward to the AIT program offers some robotics courses. So I'm really looking forward to taking those as well. So, I feel like the sky's the limit, really.
Oh, and you're going to conquer that sky. I just wish you well, but I know that you're on the right track. Ben, what about you? How have your goals shifted?
So my original goal was just to get out of the restaurant industry, because I've always been able to find decent employment, even though I didn't have high school education. It's just over the past few years, I've noticed even McDonald's is requiring you to have your GED anymore. Like, it's almost impossible to find a job anywhere without it. But I was already tired of working at restaurants, so I wanted to pursue a higher education. I didn't know exactly what type of field, but I heard about this, and I've always been inclined to use my hands anyways. Very creative person. Got in trouble a lot as a kid for taking all my toys apart and putting them back together. But Ultimately now, it was just to get out of the restaurants. Now I am in pursuance of an electrical engineering career.
Ben, that's exciting to hear, and I will tell you, both of you are role models. And you know, nationwide, there's about 51 million individuals who are lacking those basic skills in math and literacy. You are wonderful role models to them, and our hope is to encourage more of them to say yes to programs like this. And Ben, I just also have to admit, I heard also yesterday that you ended up being a peer tutor. So you're not just working your way through the program, now you're helping other people succeed.
You are correct. So about a year ago, I wasn't even looking for a career or an opportunity within the school. The school called me and asked me if I would like to be a tutor. And I weighed the pros and cons of doing everything, and ultimately I came to the decision that tutoring would probably be beneficial because I can just use everything I just learned to help someone else learn it, plus it reinsures my abilities, and it's just all around a good experience so far.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, do you want to spend just a little bit of time shifting from the students to the wonderful teachers that we have along with us, Mary Jo and Echo? Want to dig into kind of get your side of it. First, how would you react to how your students are sharing and the words that they've put before the audience today? Mary Jo?
Wow, this just makes my heart explode when I hear from students. Like it's exactly why we do what we do. And so to hear their stories and to also know Ariane and Ben from the very beginning, yeah, it reminds us, it centers us that this is all about this.
Wonderful. And Mary Jo, I also want to, I know you talked about it on the video, the co-teaching and how do you work together with the co-teachers to support students in their coursework. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's truly a collaborative effort. We try and build a toolkit for each one of our students. And that toolkit looks differently because every need is different from every student. So we work with the CTE, the Career Technical Education faculty, and we sit down and we co-plan. We co-plan assignments, quizzes, sometimes projects, and we keep, again, as I just said, like the learning for the students is at the center of what we do. Everything that we do is about the students. So the CTE faculty and us adult education instructors sit down and we plan weekly. So we're looking at the needs of every student. We're looking at what's coming up ahead and how we can best meet their needs. There's also two, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the example that you gave on the video of Ohm's Law just makes perfect sense to me, and it's a great example of algebra in context. What a great way to co-teach.
Yeah, we find out as well when students come in and say like, oh, I was never really good in math. When you contextualize it, when it's relevant to their lives, it somehow makes sense to them.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Mary Jo. Echo, I want to jump in with you for a minute here. And, you know, the IBEST model has been around for a little while, but you, from a teacher's perspective, what do you see as the most valuable and most impactful components of the IBEST model?
Well, Scott, with this model, there's really a great opportunity for deeper exploration of the real-world application of the technical content, as Mary Jo stated. And so students, they're working independently and collaboratively to create and analyze data tables that are actually related to logistics and supply chain management concepts. They're learning to develop complex math functions, formulas and calculations that aid in decision-making and forecasting. So it's actually applying. They get a chance to see how the concepts might show up in the workplace. And we always strive towards contextualization of the information and data. And so one thing I'd really like to focus on is the employability skills. With the support of their instructors, students are identifying their own strengths and creating a skills inventory. That's something we've been working on a lot this last semester. And so they're building their interviewing skills, and we get a chance to see that they're developing their own story. They're learning strategies for how to market themselves to employers, and they're also identifying examples of when they've actually demonstrated their personal strengths and employability skills. And that's invaluable for them to see that.
Wonderful. So contextualization and employability. Can you give me a more specific example of an in-class activity?
Absolutely, yes. Great question. So one of the most enriching activities that we have used to engage students in the virtual classroom is looking at workplace scenarios. So we employ role play activities where students are exploring the skills necessary to identify, define, and solve realistic problems in the workplace. And so in this way, students are making real-world connections while simultaneously building their self-confidence and their sense of self-worth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Echo. Yeah. You know, I think Cheryl and I really are wanting to dig in also because we've had such a shift for the past 7 months. And this question of how has the shift or what does the shift to all virtual instruction look like relative to your space in Pima, in the IBEST model?
That's a wonderful question as well. It's on all of our minds, I'm sure. So the shift to the virtual classroom has really provided a wonderful opportunity for students to become more comfortable and adept at using these new technologies and navigating these complex systems. And they're always changing. So as Ariane mentioned, you know, being able to navigate those systems is self-confidence building, and it's also a very important tool. So students, they're accessing YouTube videos and tutorials. They're learning to use these virtual classroom tools with our help, and they're getting hands-on experience with important programs like Excel. So the structure of the program, whereby each cohort has an instructor team, this actually allows us to provide all that additional support they need. And we do that through weekly one-on-one meetings. So they have this opportunity to really see and ask for that personalized help. And we use breakout rooms in the classroom, in the virtual classroom. This allows students to engage in discussion and problem solving in smaller groups. And then we encourage students to also collaborate and participate in study groups. So they're working together, they're finding that peer support. And so really the new landscape of virtual learning, the virtual job search, the virtual interviews and virtual hiring events we'll be holding next month. They all give students this opportunity to grow their technology skills and to put their best foot forward without even leaving the house.
Oh, wonderful. Echo, that it's a great testament to local programs being able to pivot and still meet the needs of the learners where they are. But I know some of them probably didn't have technology. So what about the computers or the internet access? How did you find that space and what did you do, Mary Jo?
We quickly had to jump in and assess who needed what, who had a device, who had internet, and quickly got devices to the students, and if they needed a hotspot, kicked in that as well. Also, we have these wraparound services, our program advisor, the student services, the instructors, CTE, we all work together to make sure that this transition went as smoothly as possible. But these are just good practices for all students. And in the IBEST model, the cohort is nice and small, so they feel that support, I think, even a little stronger.
Well, Echo, Mary Jo, thank you for providing those perspectives. And I know we wanted to allow a little bit of time here as we finish out this panel to take some questions from the chat. So, Lori, I'll turn it back over to you to lead the questioning.
Thank you all so much. I do have just a couple of questions from the chat. The first one I want to direct to either teachers or students, and that is, someone asked, you indicated that this is a cohort model program. What are the benefits of being a cohort model in the IBEST program? And I welcome either students or teachers.
One of the biggest benefits is being just around the same people consistently. You grow a rapport with your classmates. You learn to trust these people because you're with them on a day-to-day basis. And if you can't trust and work around the people that you have to do it on a daily basis, you're not going to have a good time.
Nice.
I think it's also very helpful. Oh, sorry. I think it's also just very helpful. Students get to know one another and get to know each other's strengths. And so they not only have this co-teaching team of 4 instructors that they're with, 4 to 6 instructors they're with throughout the year, but they have this network of student and peer support, right? So they choose to engage with one another outside of the classroom, to seek out that support and help one another. And I'm constantly hearing these conversations about how we set up a study group, or I asked Andrew for help, and it's great to see them working together towards their goals and finding that common ground. So it's wonderful to witness.
I'm going to call dibs on having the Ariane be my study partner for motor mounting and leveling. So there we go. That's all I need.
I love that. All right, we're going to ask just one more question from the chat. Any questions that we don't answer, we will follow up with in writing in an FAQ. Someone asked if one of the teachers could answer, is the GED curriculum integrated into all IBEST curriculum, or do HSE students concurrently enroll in a GED class?
You know what, that's a question that gets asked often. And what ends up happening is we use the textbook in the content level classes, and so they're reading and writing, and they're also doing math, and so we don't ever have to take out like a GED type book or a HSE book. It's all contextualized. So like if we go back to algebra, we go back to like how to read and answer questions, it's done through contextualization of the material that's in the classroom. We don't necessarily pull out any GED like related activities or books. We use the classroom. And I think that's what's really appealing to the students as well. It's not contrived like paragraphs of questions that we answer. It's real life. It's their classroom. We're learning about motors. We're learning about logistics, supply chain management, all through reading, writing, and math. So that's a great question.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, everyone. We are going to have to wrap up this panel. I want to thank Mary Jo, Echo, Benjamin, and Ariane for being here for this panel. This discussion was fantastic. Now, we're going to zoom out of the classroom and look more from a bird's eye view at the collaboration and partnerships that make IBEST possible. We will start by highlighting the reasons that we choose to make IBEST, choose to collaborate around IBEST and make IBEST possible. Then we'll have a roundtable discussion with panelists who work together to develop and implement IBEST programs together. So why do we collaborate in IBEST? As an adult education program, we began doing the IBEST model because it could help our students get started on career pathways sooner. IBEST really opens up access to training, to industry-recognized credentials for all of our adult learners. And we know that the integration of basic skills and career and technical skills has been proven to accelerate the acquisition of both the basic skills and the career and technical skills, and it increases certificate completion rates. Thanks to the strong collaboration with our college and our WIOA partners, students are not only completing credentials, but they're getting employed. We are very proud of our IBEST outcomes. On average, 75% of students complete the post-secondary certificate in 1 year. 70% of students who are seeking their high school equivalency diploma also pass the GED and get their HSE in that same year. And 80% of our completers are employed in that first year after completing. Although you will note from hearing from students earlier that lots of them continue on with their studies at Pima with about 50% or more continuing with their studies right away. We are very proud of these outcomes, but this student success would not be possible without a strong collaboration. So now you'll hear from two of our key collaborative partners in IBEST. First, from the Director of WIOA Title I Services at Pima County One Stop, our local Arizona at Work office, Arnold Palacios. And then from my colleague at PCC, the Vice President of Workforce Development, Ian Rourke. Let's watch.
Hello, everybody. I'm Arnold Palacios, Director of Pima County's Community and Workforce Development Department. And on behalf of the Community and Workforce Development Department in Pima County, it's a pleasure to address you today and to express our continued support for Pima College's IBEST programs. We have a long history of partnering with Pima College for adult basic education and for career and technical education. You know, we see a lot of one-stop applicants that come through our system that are looking to upskill, but that also have a basic skills deficiency. So As you know, participants need to move as quickly as possible towards employment, and especially during this workforce landscape. And it's for those reasons that IBEST, I believe, is a great program that supports our participants through the One Stop and our partnership with Pima as they reach for their goals. The IBEST program is great for English language learners, for adults who are seeking their high school equivalency diploma, and for high school graduates who may be looking to re-career but who lack basic skills. So we've been pleased with the outcomes and successes of this program and the supports that it gives vulnerable populations and populations that are looking to rejoin the workforce. And it's a pleasure to continue this partnership. So we're looking forward to this continued collaboration with Pima College, and we look forward for years to come with the great IBEST programs from Pima College. And thank you so much, and have a great day.
We are so excited about today's Octave virtual site visit with the Pima Community College Adult Basic Education team and the innovation work that they have done with respect to full-scale implementation of IBEST in our career, technical, and workforce education programs here in Pima County and in Southern Arizona. IBEST really strikes at the heart of the matter that we are all experiencing with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic recovery that we are now working toward. And that is, we have a concentration of low-wage workers in Pima County in Southern Arizona. There are 175,000 low-wage workers in Pima County alone. Equally, we know that this low-wage work is concentrated among our Latinx, Indigenous peoples, and other ethnic and racial minority groups, as well as single income earners who are predominantly female. Also, we know that the education levels among these groups, in these low-wage working groups, are those who hold a high school diploma and are skills deficient in math, reading, or writing, or do not yet have high school equivalency. So as we work to strengthen Southern Arizona's economy, to meet the needs of our business and industry partners, and to help people have hope and opportunity for upward mobility in the jobs that our business owners will create and expand, we need to give them the ability to overcome this barrier of skills deficiency or lack of a high school equivalency. IBEST programs allow those individuals who do not yet have high school equivalency to co-enroll into a career and technical education program, bypassing traditional college readiness and college entry requirements, and simultaneously earn their high school equivalency as well as a college level certificate in a high wage occupation in a priority industry such as logistics, manufacturing, or medical science. That is powerful in terms of breaking the grips of generational poverty. It's powerful in giving our students in our community multiple opportunities for entire families to advance into new careers and new opportunities. And it is powerful for Southern Arizona and for our state in terms of a model that brings together both the interests of business and industry, as well as our social justice commitments to communities of poverty and the people that we care for and serve. We are proud of our adult basic education team because they are leading the way in concert with our career tech faculty, our deans, and our staff in showing that innovative models can meet the challenges of today and prepare our community for the successes of tomorrow.
Thank you, Arnold and Ian. We are so lucky to have such passionate and committed partners in the workforce system in Pima County. And their remarks are the perfect framing for our next roundtable discussion, the Collaborators Roundtable. So panelists for this discussion are Wendy Shader-Black, the Director of Adult Education Services, who's been overseeing IBEST programming at Pima since 2014. Stephanie Dennison, our IBEST Program Advisor, who's been leading the development of our integrated student services approach, keeping students at the heart of our work. Michael Gates, the Program Manager for WIOA Title I at Pima County. He serves as our primary liaison between One Stop and our IBEST programs and has contributed to all aspects of IBEST program development and implementation. and Amanda Avens, our Dean of Workforce at Pima Community College. Amanda's been leading the effort to help integrate these models into CTE certificate programs and has been instrumental in the development of multiple IBEST pathways at Pima, including behavioral health services, medical assistant, and logistics and supply chain management. Once again, we will also have our special guests from Octay with us, both Scott and Cheryl. So let's move now back to the live speaker view, and we will begin again with questions from our special guests and hope to have a little bit of time for questions from the chat, but please do know we will be compiling any questions for an FAQ. Attendees, please remember you can switch to that grid view if you aren't seeing all of our participants today. Okay, take it away, Scott.
All right, thank you, Lori. And Amanda, Wendy, Stephanie, Michael, it is a pleasure to virtually meet you, and thank you for being willing to share the incredible story of the impact that Pima Community College Adult Ed is making through the IBEST program. And as the collaborators, we're hoping to dig into in this panel, why and then how it continues to work. And, IBEST and IET are not required in WIO Title I, Michael. So I guess my first question is to you, why invest time and resources in implementing this model when it's not required by your law? Oh, and you've got to come off of mute there. I'll just pause you right there. There you go.
Great question, Scott. And, one of our top priority populations are those that have basic skills deficiencies. Pima College has always served them well over the years. With this IBEST model, they can do so, earn their credential while they're getting their remedial education, just making it that much more efficient, quicker, for that student to get through earning the credential, getting on to employment, and while doing so, having the ability to keep their eyes on the prize. Summer had mentioned that in her video of being something very important. And then the end note for us on the other side of it is we're able to then exceed our performance measures in earning that credential, the employment and retention, and so it's a very easy decision for us to make that investment.
Wonderful. Well, I know from talking to Ariana yesterday, she actually was in your shop first, but was ultimately then directed to the adult ed program by coming to the One Stop First. And what a great partnership that produces. For Amanda, as you think about investing the time and the resources from a community college's side, where's the why in that for a college to invest?
So I absolutely love it to invest the time and resources into IBEST. It really is a great investment. For us, it is all about the access and the student success piece. So increasing that access is so important. I think Dr. Rourke said it really well earlier as we look at the populations and how it can change generational poverty. But when we also look at it from that economic development perspective, our business and industry need folks who can do those jobs and do them well now. And not after they do things in the old-fashioned way of do the GED first, wait until you get that done, and then get your certificate. That accelerated time frame gets them out in the workforce sooner. So that access piece is so important. But we saw, Lori presented those completion numbers, that student success data. When we talk about retention and completion and graduation of the program and entering employment, you just can't beat IBEST for those numbers. Those are significantly higher than our general population. And, one of the myths that we continue to dispel is that a HSE seeking student, a student that needs some basic skills, is different than any other college student. I can tell you they're not. I have the great joy and benefit of working in a variety of career tech programs, from short-term programs to transfer programs at the college. And we see students at all levels in all of our programs, and all of our students need the support and the assistance that the IBEST program provides.
Oh, that is wonderful. And I was so intrigued by the shift in goals that once a student built confidence, that all of a sudden getting the high school diploma wasn't the end ticket anymore. It is an associate's degree, as Ariana, and then potentially even a baccalaureate degree for Ben. So congratulations on raising the potential for economic mobility for many, many students.
We're so interested in what the conditions are for success of an innovation. And when you look at everything that I've heard today about your innovations, about blending and getting people financial aid, about co-enrollment, about good communication across partners, what are the conditions that made you so successful?
I'm happy to jump in here. I think it's such a good question. I think, these models, IETs by their nature, they have no choice but to innovate, right? So IETs don't fit perfectly into a typical adult education program model, and they don't fit into a typical CTE program model. So we have to make up new ways of designing educational programs to create IETs. So I think we're starting out with innovation on our minds, right? So because we know that we're developing something new, when I say we, I mean all of our partners, One Stop, CTE, Adult Education, HPOG, anybody who's involved in these programs. We know we're developing something new. We're open to ideas. We're open to trying things on, and we're open to adjusting or pivoting when we need to. We share data. We share insights on student progress. We share student feedback for what's working for them and what's not working for them. And we adjust. I think it's the collaboration that really enables us to innovate. So we can't innovate inside of a vacuum. We have to really work together to do that. So I think that the structures that we've built to support the collaboration really make it work. We have those regularly scheduled meetings. We know each other. We know our shared students and our shared clients. And I think it's that really makes the innovation possible.
I think, Wendy, you said it so very well. I completely agree with you. We work at the same college, you and I. We supervise different departments, and we have much of the same goals in common, but we have differences. We have differences with our one-stop partner. And so the ability to all come together and really work towards a common goal, but also be able to learn from each other and learn how we are a little bit different. And I learn how you all operate and what's most important to you. And you've taken the time to do the same with our division as well. And we've been able to have very open and honest conversation. And those are the things that, along with the leadership that we heard from earlier that's so supportive, the systems that have been put into place, you combine those relationships, that to me is really what creates that really effective model that we have.
Well, I think that listening to all of this and the importance of leadership from the top, but overall, the commitment to your students and to your clients across the systems, you have common interests. Michael, what's your thinking on this?
So, and I agree wholeheartedly with what Amanda and Wendy said, absolutely. And the thing I think about also is that this, the partnership that Title I, the One Stop, the Pima County One Stop has had with Pima Community College and Pima College Adult Basic Education goes back years, even decades. So there's like this innate familiarity amongst us. Even if we don't know all the individuals, we have an understanding of our entities. And so it just makes it that much more easier with that built-in understanding to build those relationships, grow them, into what they are today. And Wendy said it well as far as these regular meetings that we have. And in those, we get to know each other even better, iron out the things that come up. And that goes with our case managers as well, that they attend. And it enables them at this point, after years now doing it, to really buy into the program, to understand the value and appreciate that. And that goes a long way in our part of our commitment.
Well, I'm thinking that all of the over 100 different local practitioners or system practitioners are a little jealous with the relationship that Pima has with this workforce center. I know many of them have good ones, but I don't know that all of them have them as deep as you have. So congratulations on that. Stephanie, get ready because I'm coming with a question to you. How does this integrated collaborative model contribute to student success? You being a program advisor, talk to me about the impact on students.
Thanks for that question, Scott. Our student services model is a holistic approach that's really aimed at developing the student through our embedded student services. We provide significant support inside and outside of the classroom, and that really helps our students. Everything we do comes from the frame of student-centered design. So we look at all of our students' needs from that inclusive advising model. Students are at the heart of everything that we do. So our goal is for our students to identify not only as IBEST participants, but as college students and as learners. So they don't stop here with us. They continue on, to that associate's degree or onto the internship in that work environment. We're always looking at how can we serve our students and meet their needs, not just as students, but as people, because they come to us with lots of challenges, right? Our students, I had a student call me today because he's back on the streets. He's homeless again. He wasn't able to make his midterm yesterday. He wasn't able to attend class this week. So it's not just about how do we help students succeed in the classroom, but how do we meet students' needs when it comes to making sure their basic needs are met, getting them transportation vouchers, getting them connected to food support, crisis counseling, all that stuff that makes it possible to be successful in the classroom. And lastly, the embedded student services pieces are so important because we focus not only on, ensuring that the student gets what they need in terms of the transactional support, getting that financial aid, getting your registration on time, getting a really easy to navigate pathway for their program, but we also connect them to those community resources. We're strategically aligned with our community partners, IBEST and One Stop and Women's Foundation and otherwise to really connect our students to the supports that they need.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie. We are about 15 minutes in, and I know we want to take a couple questions, but is there a quick answer from anybody else that they want to add to what Stephanie shared about student success through IBEST?
I really just quickly want to mention the co-teaching model is so incredibly important. Having the career tech educational instructor or faculty member work with that adult basic ed instructor, have them work closely, align assessments, outcomes, and be in the classroom supporting the student together really is key for that student success to be able to accelerate and learn and be able to pass their HSE along with completing their certificate and doing that so fast.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amanda. All right, Lori, I'll turn it back to you. You did such a great job of directing the questions last time. Let's do it again.
Thank you so much, Scott, and thanks everybody. So I've got two questions we're going to try and get through in just a couple minutes. So first was, does co-enrollment take place with both partners, or is one partner the lead in getting students into the system? Could you share a bit more about how that works?
Can I just say a couple things on that? And one thing that is another great aspect of this model is that no matter where a person starts, so what entity with whatever, if it's Pima College or Adult Basic Education or the One Stop, they're going to be co-enrolled in all three. And it's nobody. I don't think anybody really takes the lead, but it's a lot between Stephanie and myself at the One Stop, but also directing. We have case managers that are dedicated to each IBEST model, and they take the lead on our side on getting these people through our system efficiently so they don't fall through the cracks. Sometimes we have to do it they start the next week and it's Thursday. So we have that dedicated case manager that kind of irons out all the details, get them through. But it comes down to communication between Stephanie and I and the case manager or case managers that are dedicated to that particular IBEST.
I don't see anyone else jumping in. Thanks. Thanks. Stephanie, did you want to go ahead?
I was just going to share, when a student comes to us from either our internal program through adult basic education, we always co-enroll and connect that student right away to One Stop. So it is such a cohesive partnership. So regardless of where they come, they always make that connection.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Our systems that we have in place, sorry about that, Lori, our systems that we have in place that we have through our intergovernment agreement, 2 co-located staff that are supported by the Pima County One Stop and the college at 2 different One Stop locations. That also helps those things move smoothly after Michael and Stephanie and the team get them started as well too. That helps us move it through quickly.
Yes, Amanda, those 2 staff members are invaluable in this process as well. You're right. Kudos to them.
Well, kudos to them and kudos to all of you. Thank you so much, panelists, for being here today. This discussion was really fantastic. There are questions that didn't get answered, so keep an eye out for the FAQ that will come out after this. But we're coming up on the top of the hour, and so I'm going to wrap up this panel. And I'm going to invite Cheryl Keenan back to share any final closing remarks that you'd like to share.
Thank you, Lori. And what a great team. What a great visit. Thank you for putting it together. I hope you enjoyed meeting the team at Pima as much as I did. I learned a great deal about what makes this IET program particularly innovative. The partnerships that come together to give students the support to advance their career goals is quite impressive, and Benjamin and Ariane are inspiring examples of the value of adult learning. Thank you for joining us on this virtual visit, and to all who helped to make this visit successful, thank you for your commitment and your leadership.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you again to you and to Secretary Scott Stump for being here with us today. This has been fantastic to have you with us. I want to second your thanks to the IBEST team and the collaborators for all their work and commitment and collaboration. And thanks to the Advancing Innovation team at Manhattan Strategy Group, the OCTAE team, and all of our colleagues at PCC and Pima County for all the support that made today possible. With that, today's virtual visit has concluded. Thank you all for being here. Bye, everyone.